Hi, I am Scott Ryan, and we are back again, just like you like it. We're talking about Barbra, we're talking about books, we're talking about music, and we've been doing this for 5 weeks now, and there's no end in sight because Barbra's albums go on forever, just like we like it. I'm going to kick us over here to our author extraordinaire, Matt Howe, and then he's going to introduce our very exciting guest we have today. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing good, thank you. We have an exciting and very colorful guest today. So welcome everybody. We're glad to be back. We're recording this post-Thanksgiving, so I hope everybody's holidays were very good. Today we have joining us Renée Nicole Gray, and some of you may know her from her exceptional Instagram page and blog. I guess we can call it a blog or a website, STREISAND STYLE FILES, where she goes into and examines the many amazing clothing and costume choices that Barbra's taken over the years. So everybody, welcome Renée Nicole Gray.
Hello, gorgeouses.
Yes, hello to you.
How are you? I have to say, Matt, this photo behind you is amazing. Of you and Barbra and Jamie Foxx.
Oh, yeah.
I think if I had a photo like that, that would be the minimum size that I would have it on my wall. Like bare minimum.
I went large. I can see stuff in your place though too. Do you want to give us a little tour?
Well, I have my Nolan Miller sketches behind me. Barbra actually only wore one of the sketches that are on my wall to the Grammy Awards. But all of the rest he made for her. You can edit that. And she never wore them. And there are actually notes saying, thank you for making this for me, but I'm sorry I never got to wear it. And oh well. But yeah, and I've got, my little Barbra Barbie over here. She's performing at the Bonsoir, singing for her London Broil, and Arnold Scassi 70s caftan behind me.
Gorgeous.
This is my work room, my sewing room. So
it's nice. Wonderful. And then soon you will be able to have the newest Barbra book by Matt. Yes. Barbra Streisand, the music, the albums, the singles. For those of you who have not pre-ordered yet, what are you waiting for? You go out to tuckerdspress.com and order this amazing book that will cover all of her albums. And it's a really positive, fact-based look at the music of Barbra. So there's our plug for the episode. And we'll leave you to that. It's all over. Renée, I love talking to other Barbra fans. And tell me what got you to be this crazy fan. We all know Barbra from a little kid because she's been around forever, but to you, what kicked you up into truly being a big fan?
I discovered Barbra when I was probably 8 years old, and I will say my childhood was not very happy. I didn't have a father around, and I saw her on TV. I saw her, I think it was the 1994 concert. And I just became instantly entranced. And it was a clip from the New Year's Eve show that they were just showing randomly on the main nightly news. And I started to rent things from the library and get all the books I could, rent the CDs, the cassette tapes probably at that time, and, get familiar with her TV specials and music. And for me, the more I found out about her, the more I identified with her, with, her background, with not having a father, growing up poor, all of that were things I related to. But I also loved her music, and it was comforting to me. It was almost mothering to me, in a way that I didn't feel that same love or comfort from my own mother. So it became, just a source of comfort, I will say, that is still here, over 25 years later or something. So she means a lot to me.
That's really interesting, because I also sort of feel like she's my mom in a strange way. And Matt, do you have any motherly feelings towards her? Because we've never actually had this discussion before.
Mine goes this way. The reason when I've met her that I feel so comfortable is she reminds me of my high school drama teacher, Mrs. Spark, who I went to a Catholic school and Mrs. Spark was Jewish. Ooh, you know, and one time in assembly, Mrs. Spark performed "I'm the Greatest Star." And so anyway, whenever I had the chance to be around Barbra, I kind of just immediately go into that, like, I can talk to you because you're like Mrs. Spark.
Aww.
Did you know I'm the Greatest Star from Barbra when Mrs. Spark sang it, or that's the first time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it was probably my request.
Renee, if you were, if you could only save one Barbra album, and you're going on a desert island and they're going to let you bring one, what is that one go-to album that you're like, well, I just could not live without this album?
Oh, that's tough. I'm going to go with the Greatest Hits album because it's got a little bit of everything.
So, which one?
So maybe Volume 1, Greatest Hits. That way I could just have a little touch of all the albums.
Okay. That's very interesting. The correct answer was the Broadway album, though. That was actually the correct answer.
I should have known. Okay, well, I guess I'm voted off the island.
No, I'm just teasing you.
No, I'm gonna choose mine like Renee. I'm gonna choose Essential, because then I get 2 CDs of like all her hits.
They're very interesting. See, I could not.
Do I have a CD player on the island?
Yes, there is a CD player on the island.
Okay.
Which was strange, but yet you could only bring 1 CD. It was a strange island, but that's the way they did it. I didn't make up these rules. I mean, I see what you guys are saying, and I also love the concert and things. That would be a hard thing for me to give up. That's like my comfort blanket. I've watched that concert so many times, but I could never live my life without the Broadway album. There's just no way. I mean, I just couldn't. It couldn't happen. What decade do you say you're most attracted to, Renee?
The 60s, for sure. I love the spunk she had, just trying to prove she was a star, that unpolished, raw, I don't know, like you can hear it in her voice in those early recordings. She's fiery and she's got something to prove. And I don't think that you hear that in any other decade. As you move forward, she gets a little bit nervous. I think as she becomes a star, she gets a little bit more like self-conscious, I think, as she goes on. And so it's the 60s for me. What about you?
Matt, you go. I didn't expect it to come back to me.
I'm going to choose the 60s too. Particularly the late 60s. I mean, by the time she got to Funny Girl, I mean, the voice was on point and could soar, and often did.
So when we've been planning, this is a rough one for me. Thanks for asking. I just did. It's so funny. I didn't even consider I was going to have to answer this question. But when we've been doing these shows, we actually scheduled out all the episodes recently. And I noticed that what will be episode 9 is we're going to do 4 albums on that. It's Just for the Record, Prince of Tides, Back to Broadway, and the concert. And I was thinking, like, my gosh, at that moment in my life, that was when I was the biggest Barbra fan. Every one of those albums means so much to me. I was just so obsessed with Barbra in that time that crazily, I think I'm going to say the 90s, which I feel like
the 90s
is a nutty thing to say. But that was when I really discovered her. I always knew her and was like a casual fan, like radio hits and things like that. But when Just for the Record came out is when I got that box set, and it blew my mind, and I went back and discovered everything. So I'm going to crazily say 90s, and please send all the hate mail to Matt for me.
No, thank you. Barbra, I discovered Barbra in the 90s, so I have a special place for that. 1994, the concert, that black dress. Oh, I just love it. I love the 90s.
I know you're big into Barbra's fashion. tell us a couple fashion things. Like, tell us a couple dresses that stand out to you, or a couple moments fashion-wise.
Obviously, her most famous fashion moment is Arnold Scossi at the Oscars, the little pantsuit. I think forevermore she'll be known for that outfit.
Every year at the Oscars, they trot that picture out, right?
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah. I think that, and I think the white Cecil Beaton ensemble from On a Clear Day, the turban and that white outfit are just probably, I would say those are probably two of the most iconic outfits she's ever worn, and they will always be something people look back at and identify with her career no matter what. So
gorgeous.
Yeah.
What about hairstyle?
The hairstyles in the 60s, I loved her little bumps she used to do where she would just take like the fake hair and pin it on her head, and it looked a little bit messy, but it was still Barbra, and I love that. And then she obviously got professional hairdressers on board, and things started getting a little bit nicer as you move on. But then as we're going into the 70s here, I guess I'll talk about that since we're doing the 70s. She turns into this California golden goddess, right? And she grows her hair out, and it's long and wavy, and she's tanned and gorgeous. And I love that. I love that 70s long hair.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah.
What is your favorite Barbra look, hairstyle, or outfit, whatever, just like the look of Barbra?
Oh, hard. I mean, maybe I'll split the difference and I'll go for the 90s revised bob. That sort of, it was longer than the 60s, right? But it was still kind of a bob. And, when she turned and performed, it had a lot of flow and movement. I mean, I just thought that was a great hairdo.
Yeah, I like her in The Prince of Tides. I really think like that was a really good look for her. But also, I'm a main event person, so kind of that crazy curly Barbra is fun too.
The little booty shorts.
That look is, like what some fans think first when you say Barbra Streisand. They think about the 70s curls, perm thing. Not my favorite, but it was cute.
Yeah. And not a lot of people can pull that off either. Like, who can pull off that? I mean, she can. Her face is so gorgeous. She can do anything.
We are here to talk about the music, but what is your favorite Streisand movie?
That is a tough one. I would say Funny Girl for sentimental reasons, because that was the first one I ever saw and watched a million times. As an adult, it's kind of shifted, and I really love Nuts.
Oh yeah.
And I think Nuts is, to me, her best acting performance in any film she's ever done.
I love that answer. Great answer. And then again, Matt and I have probably spoken almost every single day for a year working on this book, and we have never once talked about her movies because we've been so into this. I have no idea what your favorite movie is, so I'm sort of excited. Which is your favorite movie?
Oh, well, it depends. But today I'm going to say Yentl. Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's just, as a first-time director, it's so well made. And if you know anything about filmmaking and shots and cinematography and lighting, I mean, it's just really well made. And then it's Barbra falling in love with Mandy Patinkin, and who wouldn't?
My cat's name is Yentl.
Oh, great. Great.
Mine is definitely Prince of Tides. I think it's her best work. It's a perfect movie. The flashback when Nick Nolte is cooking, and to go to the cooking scenes, that is a level of directing and editing that's just incredible how she does that. And her acting, I'm working on a book about films from the 90s That's actually what my next book is. And, you know, I'm writing a full essay on the Prince of Tides outside of it, you know, and has nothing to do with how much I love her as a singer. I truly believe it's one of the best films of the 90s. I mean, that is a great, great film. But also, come on, Funny Girl is Funny Girl. So what do you post on your Instagram?
Well, fashion, you know, lately I've been a little bit lazy about doing it, but when I'm actually going back to college late in life, so I've been a little bit cut off from doing the Streisand Style Files because I've been so busy with finals and everything else. But normally when I'm back in the game, I'm posting almost every day about Barbra's fashion. We are kind of going down the rabbit hole of designers. She has had a really interesting fashion life where she is connected with Chanel and Dior, Madame Gray, all of these iconic designers throughout her career. And it's so interesting to look at this sort of interweaving of fashion, of haute couture that she has come across in her life. And so my site isn't just about Barbra's fashion. You're going to be here as a Barbra fan, but you're going to learn something else you might not have known because I'm a history nerd and I want to teach you some little bit of history about something else too while you're here, or the life of the designer who created this outfit that she wore. So it's a little bit of mashup of fashion history and Barbra.
What is your Instagram handle?
Oh, so Streisand Style Files on Instagram and Facebook, and then streisandstylefiles.com is the website where everything is, and it's a much better viewing experience than Instagram or, you know, Facebook.
Of course. I was just going to say, you know, Renée is so meticulous, and I do always learn something. And like one of the things I can remember right now, and tell me if I get it wrong, because I'm not a huge fashion person, but you know, your pillow back there with her Funny Girl midi blouse outfit. I mean, there was one post you did where you posted historical drawings or photos of the midi blouse. And I was just like, that's what it's called? A midi blouse.
Yeah, the term came from midshipmen. And they were made from a really like heavy duck material, duck fabric. I'm forgetting the name of the exact fabric, but yeah, there's quite a history behind that. And she clearly has been inspired by historical things to design her own fashion. A lot of people don't realize how much she's designed herself as well. Right. And even, you know, those sailor tops she designed. So she's really talented in so many ways.
I don't know. I feel like I want to be best friends with Renée. I don't know if I'll be able to seal that deal, but I kind of want to. Okay, so we are back to picking one. This is what Matt and I have been doing for 5 weeks, and we've got many weeks to go. Barbra Streisand and Other Musical Instruments is our first one up, which, go ahead, Renée, you get to go first.
I have notes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is not a popular opinion, but this is my favorite of all of the TV specials.
Okay.
And I love it because it's so eccentric and kooky and weird, and it's so 1970s experimental, and it's just fun to watch, and it's like awesome. So I didn't really know if the I Got Rhythm medley would count as like 7 tracks or 1 track.
It can be either way. Let's take it as 1 track.
Okay, because that is my favorite. I love how she goes through all the cultures. She wears the same dress, only in different colors, you know, and different little accessories. And I just love how it all comes together from start to finish. And she brings it back, and it's like, woo, damn, Barbra.
I love it. Matt, what do you got?
Oh my God. Yeah, my favorite is, you know, no joke, I Never Have Seen Snow, the Harold Arlen, Truman Capote song written for the Broadway musical House of Flowers. Barbra loved that musical and sang several songs from it, including Sleeping Bee. But here comes my cat. But I love I Never Have Seen Snow. Oh, here he is. We'll put him on.
Hold him up.
You're gonna like that.
Oh,
sorry, sweetie.
I love cats.
This is Zach.
No, it's Avador. His cat's name is Avador. We got Yento and Abador. So since everyone's mad at me because I picked the 90s as favorite Barbra, you can continue being mad at me in saying, guy, I don't like this album. I'm so sorry. It's the only one. She's got over 60 albums. I agree with you. It's a fun special and I like to watch it, but to listen to it, it's not the greatest album. So I'm picking Sweetest Sounds, which at the end is pretty much the only real song on the whole album. I think it's like an obnoxious vinyl to listen to. A great special, not the greatest album. So again, send your hate mail to Matt at Barbra Streisand Archive and say,
Sweetest Sounds is also longer on the album than it is on the special. I think she drops.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I think
it's actually probably the most simplest.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I agree with you. It doesn't work as an album. It does not stand alone as an album. It works when you watch the TV special. Right. But when I listen to it alone, just nothing else, it's like, you don't know the context. It's like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but we love Barbra. And then we go to maybe her best album of the 70s, The Way We Were.
That's what I'm giving.
Oh, tell me what the ring is called. It's a certain kind of...
Oh my God, I had the name of it at one point, and I looked for like 10 hours to find this ring online, and it was like I wasn't coming up with anything. It's a plastic
yeah, it's like made out of a certain material. It's like
this famous plastic material that they used a lot in the 70s, and it was hella cheap. It was nothing fancy, you know. She probably got it for $5 or something. But yeah, she put on that turban and that ring, and she had the little red shirt, and that was Steve Shapiro that shot that. And she said, was it during the Encores tour or during 2019? I forget when she told this story, but it was that her hair was a mess and she just threw that thing on and did the photo shoot.
Right.
And it looks amazing.
Bad hair day.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it.
So I think I could pick every single song on this album. I really think this is an album that does not have, I mean, they're all A pluses, but I went with All in Love is Fair because I just love the way she says a writer takes his pen. That I don't know, I just love it. It could be the writer in me, I can't say, but that's always been one of my favorite songs. So my pick is All in Love is Fair.
I'm going to go with, again, hard. And why didn't she record more Stevie Wonder over the years?
I mean,
the songs on her Stevie Wonder songs are so lovely. Anyway, it depends on the day for me and my mood, but I'm in a summer me, winter me mood today. The Bergmans and Legrand, how can you go wrong? It's just such a beautiful song, and I love the lyrics, and it's such a lush, romantic orchestration that Legrand did for her.
For me, it is the best thing you've ever done.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that song because the belting is perfect. It's memorable. It's catchy. This is a tough decision. Obviously, I loved so many songs in this album, but that one to me is always the standout. And even more so than the title track, The Way We Were, obviously amazing song. I love it, but I'm sick of hearing it at this point.
Right.
I want to hear other things. I want to hear things that I don't listen to very often. So it's that one. And I think, the phrasing in this album is so strong, the way that she draws out certain words. And, when she does brother in the first, the very first verse of that, there's just something about it that you don't hear in other albums, and it's beautiful, and I love it. And I will say this album pairs the best with a cranberry vodka martini.
Oh,
we should do a whole episode of pairing songs.
Yes,
with drinks,
pairing albums
or wine.
You should have this in your book. You should have a drink to pair with every album. Don't
be telling us, you know how this book is at the finish gate. Don't be adding things.
Your
not
next
a bad
book.
idea, though.
No, it's a great idea, but shut it because the book is done. We don't want to hear any of that. But we should be moving on, but I can't move on. I love this. Why do you think that drink goes with this album? I just love this concept. And I like that.
Okay, well, the way we were is sexy. It's like, well, I'm thinking of like red nails, red ring, and it's a red drink. It's the vodka, you know, the martini glass. It's just like, it puts me in the mood to listen to this album.
On vinyl.
Yeah. It's sexy. It's a sexy drink. It's a sexy album.
And when you go to flip the album over for side 2, you have your loved one make you a second drink.
Yes.
So you've heard it here. We're doing a sequel to the book, Alcoholics and Barbra, coming in 2025. So I'm going to cheat and use this side because I like it better. But we do have Butterfly next.
Butterfly, get it?
Probably the worst.
Oh, ha ha ha.
Well, you know, Columbia. I don't know if the word "tricked" is the right word to use, but they weren't a fan of the cover either. So they put the sticker on the back cover that said "Butterfly" featuring these songs, so that the record stores would flip it around in the racks. Not a bad idea.
No,
it's a gorgeous illustration. That was Bill Shirley that did that illustration, and I think it should have been the cover. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
And very 70s. Matt, it's your turn to go first.
Okay, don't hate me. You know, this is a weird album, and I'm going to go with a weird choice. I'm going to go with Life on Mars. Mm-hmm. It's a David Bowie song, and I'm also going to suggest, because we've talked about this a couple times already. We won't get into the whole thing today, but in the book, I do give specifics on the quadraphonic versions of some of Barbra's albums. And the quadraphonic version of Life on Mars happens to be, in my opinion, superior to the regular stereo version. In the stereo version, they double track her voice, so it sounds kind of weird, and you can't, really kind of grasp her vocals as well. But on the quadraphonic, they don't do that effect, and it's just Barbra singing into the microphone. And I do like the lyrics. I think it's a brilliantly written song by Mr. Bowie, who was not a fan of Barbra's version, but I am.
Okay, well, this is going to be a controversial pick, but it's Guava Jelly. Oh my God, she's thinking about lube. The first time I heard it, I was like, no way, this is her dirtiest song ever. Well, maybe The Island is a little bit dirty too, right? But this is maybe her dirtiest song ever. And like, it's a jam. Like when it comes on, I feel like I'm on a tropical island. I want to be like drinking a pina colada. This album pairs with a pina colada, by the way. And
perfect.
And Bob Marley gave her that song, and there was so much controversy, and he wanted it to reach a broader audience. So if anyone likes that jam, listen to the Bob Marley version too, and just compare them, because it's really fun.
Renée,
and I love this album overall.
Oh, go ahead.
I love
when
this
they put
album.
out the sheet music for Guava Jelly, it had a picture of Barbra in her sky-high Central Park hairdo, and it said "Guava Jelly" by Bob Marley. Womp womp.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm sure Matt doesn't remember this, but very early on, when we were just talking about doing this book and we started to text, and I don't even think we had signed a contract yet. Matt sent me a text about, we're going to meet, or we're going to have a call. And I, at that moment, was driving, and Guava Jelly was playing in my car, because I have all Barbra in my phone and anything can come up. And I took a picture of Guava Jelly, and I said to Matt, if you can find another publisher that's listening to Guava Jelly right now, go with them. I don't know if you remember that, Matt, but
I don't, but that's funny.
No other publisher is listening to Guava Jelly right now.
It's your lucky song.
Well, I am so proud of both of your picks because they were really on mine. And also my daughters love guava jelly. Like we listen to it all the time. So I'm all aboard. My pick was actually I Won't Last a Day Without You. I'm a huge Paul Williams fan. And I have a bunch of his records. And when I feel like, again, like we said with Stevie Wonder, you know, I feel like she does a great job singing Paul Williams songs, obviously with Evergreen and things like that. But that's always been, I don't know, I feel like it's an underappreciated Barbra pick, but I just love that we had all this fun for Butterfly. And, you know, Rupert Holmes has something to do with Lazy Afternoon coming up. That could have been the pina colada drink, but it wasn't. It's this one. Now we go to the sequel to Funny Girl. We've got Funny Lady on here. I don't remember whose turn it is to go first, but we'll just go with Renee.
Okay.
And a great back cover too.
Geez, I think, you know, Funny Lady has never been my favorite movie. I like the music. I love the costumes. Bob Mackie, Ray Aghayan, like amazing. I'm gonna go with How Lucky. I know it's a basic choice, but
can't go wrong with How Lucky.
I love the performance. She's really giving it. Really great acting moments in the movie, and I've loved seeing her do it live recently. It's so much fun. Fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Good. Yeah. So that's my pick.
Well, then I guess I'll go next because that's my pick.
Okay.
I know that it, again, as you said, it might be the basic pick, but also her performance is so good. I mean, it's really, I actually do like this album. I like him and I like her. I think that's the most fun part of the movie, but I feel like How Lucky is really a Streisand song. They really wrote what she's good at there more than the rest of the score. The score's good, but I don't know if it's a Streisand score. But that song really is, which is why I picked that one. So Matt, you could connect it, all three of us, with the same pick. Will it happen?
I'm going to be disagreeable here. I'm sorry. I do love How Lucky. I know it could have been. I know. I'm sorry. It's not what I chose. I love How Lucky Can You Get, though. Maybe it's like what Renee said earlier. It's like I've heard it so much. But anyway, you know, Funny Lady. Last time Peter Max worked with Barbra until the Broadway album. So these are all Peter Max arrangements. So you know the album has a great sound to it. But I'm going to go with. And of course, the score is written by Kander and Ebb. Of course, there's historical songs in there too, so not everything. But I'm going with a Kander and Ebb song, Isn't This Better? It's been a favorite of mine for years. And I've sung it in a couple of my cabarets. And I love the thoughts, the ideas of that song, which is comparing a really stormy love to a very calm love, and coming up with the idea that the calm love might be better. Passion is fine, but passion burns fast. That's me.
I think that's a good choice.
It is interesting that at least those are the songs she pulled out. We picked the songs that she picked as well when she did them, which I was so excited that they did something from Funny Lady. Like you, Renee, it would certainly not be my favorite Barbra movie, but it's still Funny Lady. Let's, you know, I mean, it's still good. It's just not maybe my favorite. But here we've got the most 70s cover that you could ever have. I love this one. Look at that.
I don't have mine. Where's mine?
Let's start with the fashion, Renee. Take us through this cover and just, you know, let's hear about this cover.
Okay, so I don't have this confirmed at all, but I believe this is designed by Thea Porter, who designed a lot of Barbra's caftans in the 70s. She actually designed a caftan to match each room in Barbra's house at the time, and those all appeared in House Beautiful magazine. And so I'm guessing this is one of them because of how well it goes with all of the surroundings in the room. And I bet that was just a scarf that she plopped on her head that matched, honestly, because she's so good at that, just like random little things that she, pulls it all together. I love the fashion in this album, even like in the liner notes section, her little like pair of jeans and her, it's like so cash and gorgeous. And she's rocking the 70s stuff so hard. It's great.
And what does Barbra as a feminist mean to you at this point in her career?
Yeah, so I think in the 70s, we're coming out of a time when women couldn't have birth control. They couldn't have checking accounts. You weren't even allowed to keep your own last name if you wanted to. And I think it was even 1976 was the point when we were allowed to have our own line of credit that wasn't under a husband's name. And some of these albums are earlier. This is what, 74?
74.
This one.
74, yeah.
So yeah, she's really embracing, I think, in her music, this newfound power, this independence that all of the women were experiencing during this decade, free love, all of that. And I think her music reflects it. It's free, it's exciting, it's experimental. And so the 70s is a really cool decade for her, and for all women.
ERA now, they were, I think, in the middle of trying to pass that too, or at least get enough votes. Anyway.
Yep.
And what's your pick from this album?
Oh, it was Lazy Afternoon,
Mm.
which is definitely another basic pick. But I think for me, this album is really pretty and it's really forgettable overall. It is not in my top albums list. I can have it on in the background and I feel like I don't notice when one track changes to the next track. It's just kind of all good. But Lazy Afternoon stands out to me because it's really ethereal. I think she describes it as, it's like wanting to be like Alice just before she went down the rabbit hole or something with the white rabbit. Like that was her vision for the song. And you really hear it in the arrangement and it's cool and it's different. And so yeah, Lazy Afternoon.
Matt, what do you got for this one?
Nice. I love Lazy Afternoon too. It's not my pick. I have a quote from her in my book about she wanted an orchestration that made it sound like the grass was growing. And I think she got what she wanted because it's just such a great arrangement. And also when she pulled it out of the trunk for the 94 tour, I was amazed. I was like, was she singing Lazy Afternoon? Oh my God. It's amazing. But I'm going to go with, and I kind of agree with you, Renee, about the mood of the album. So that's why I chose Moan and Low, because if anything kind of kicks it, I mean, besides the disco song, if anything kind of kicks it out of gear, it's Moan and Low. And I just love, again, the arrangements. I love her in that sort of, God, could we call that a big band arrangement? I don't know if it's quite a big band.
Kind of, it's almost.
Yeah.
It's got some brass.
Yeah. It's Cotton Club style. I think they call it Cotton Club style. So.
Right. And then she actually, which she rarely does, she kind of imitates, oh God, now I forgot her name. Who's the singer? The blues singer? She kind of imitates
Billie Holiday?
She kind of imitates a Billie Holiday vocal affectation by raising the end and it's gonna go, which I just think is so much fun. I mean, she totally gives us a little Billie Holiday. That's my pick. Moan and Low.
That's a gorgeous, that was my number 2. I had a hard time choosing actually. And I think that's the only other one that you hear and you're like, oh yeah, like here's the other good one on this album. And it's interesting. She says, she's so specific in these liner notes and in this album, I think more so than any other one. But she says she wants it to be reminiscent of a smoky nightclub with flame blue spotlight, tiers of Manhattan glasses stacked high against pale pink mirrors. It's very specific.
And then she says, like my living room? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
My pick is By the Way. I'm a big Rupert Holmes fan. I actually have the album that it's called Partners in Crime, that the Pina Colada song is from, Escape. And I love his writing, how things come back around. He's very I don't know, almost novelistic in his writing. And I feel like this has a nice use of by the way at the end, that they fall by the way instead of saying by the way all the time. And then of course she wrote the music, and I'm always attracted to the songs that she writes the music to. I wish she would do it more. I think it would have been interesting, and here's a crazy thought for you, if she didn't become the biggest star of all time, would she have written more songs? I mean, she might have become someone who wrote more to get famous. And I think that would have, I think she could have done it. I would love, what if she wrote all 10 songs on an album? How about that? Wouldn't that be crazy? So what drink are we having when we have lazy afternoon here, Renee?
Oh, that is a dry Riesling.
We're switching to wine.
Yes.
We are going to have headaches tomorrow. There's no doubt about it. Okay. Well, you were a great guest, Renee. I don't even know, we should not have had her on this early in the run, Matt. People aren't going to be interested in watching the rest of our show.
You guys are great. I've watched all of your episodes. It's fun. I loved the Richard J interview. It's just fun to do this. I think there aren't a lot of people doing it on YouTube, and why not?
And, I think, I get emails from fans with their picks, I think people are enjoying this. I think, and it's just, it's all in fun. And it doesn't mean that I hate On a Clear Day and love Come Back to Me. It just means, some days I'm in the mood for, summer me, winter me,
I agree. I mean, every pick you guys pick, I think, oh, that was a good pick. I could have picked that. For the most part, again, it's just how we're feeling today. We love Barbra all the way. And if you love Barbra, you're going to want to get this book. It's incredible. 288 pages, full color, 1 million pictures, and so much information. It's just going to be wonderful. And we are truly a small company, so you're making a difference. You're not throwing your money at Amazon or at a billionaire to get a blue check mark. You're
$8.
You're keeping like artists alive. This is, so it really does help us. So you go to tuckerdspress.com and order the book, and we've turned it in, so when I get them back, I ship them. So the book does come out.
You had to pry it out of my hands.
And Matt, are you gonna do any autographing of copies? Like, can we buy an autographed copy from you?
I don't know.
Yes.
What's the answer to that?
The answer is yes. I forgot to tell you that, Matt, but I have been getting things that people want them signed. We're going to work something out. And then I'm just throwing this out there. I mean, hey, it's not like it's on the internet, but like, I would like to see us do some kind of signing, and maybe we'll try to get people to come, maybe some people who live in LA, and, I mean, it seems like Team Streisand is behind us. Maybe we could get someone to come. We'll work on some events for when the book comes out as well. So I
have to say, I'm excited to get the book because it's really fun to go through all of these albums again. Like, just before doing this episode, I went, oh, I haven't listened to this one in years, and it's full entirety just what I heard on, my Apple Music, whatever pops into my playlist usually. And Matt's book is going to be his website in physical form, essentially. Right. So you don't need to always go online. You can just grab it and be like, okay, today I'm having my dry Riesling and I'm listening to this album again, and reading his whole chapter and just having it in front of you is going to be so nice to revisit all of these albums.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you. And I wrote it that way. I think in the introduction, I say, this book is best experienced listening to the album you're reading about.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. I did it all during pandemic, and I did it on CD, and then I got really bored and I got out my LPs. Yeah, it's fun to revisit. Thank you.
And it really is that way. It was fun for me to go through and get a head start on everyone. I completed my quadraphonic collection and some singles I didn't have. So you might think you know everything, but there's things you're going to learn, especially from the new interviews. So I feel like we pushed it, but I gotta, I mean, the episode's over. It's still recording and we're putting this up, but I gotta revisit.
You're just going to edit.
No, this isn't even an edit. What I just said there is going to be an episode too, but I just can't stop thinking. I just need to come back to Renée here for just a moment. Am I getting your story right? Because I'm going to be thinking about this for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You just saw on the news about the concert, and then you wanted to find out more about her, because incredible to me.
I remember it so vividly. I was in my little living room in this tiny apartment, and it was the clip of her coming down the stairs, the entrance of her concert for New Year's Eve. I think it must have been 93 turning to 94 at that point.
Yeah.
And it was just on the news, and she maybe sang a little bit, but it was like magnetic for me. I don't know why. And most people said, this is something you'll grow out of. Like for my 13th birthday, I wanted Barbra CDs. And nobody would buy them for me. They were like, no, you're going to grow out of her. You'll get over it. It's a phase. And here I am at almost 39. No, not a phase.
Right. Totally.
I love that so much, because the concert means so much to me. And I want to do a book just on the concert that, I've started to write it, and then I had to stop, and, and we've been doing this thing. And so to hear that, like, because to me, it's the greatest live performance that any artist has ever done. I truly believe that. And so that's just so fascinating that you would just see a second of it and it would send you on this whole path.
This is why this is my little
the
paperweight. For me, it's so special, and it just discovering her and everything, it just brings me back when I look at all the 94 stuff.
I love that so much. So I'm going to be thinking about that all day. So I appreciate that. And everyone, please follow her on Instagram and her website, and give that address one more time.
STREISANDSTYLEFILES.com is the website. At Streisand Style Files is the Instagram. So find me there.
Matt, what is your website?
Barbra-archives.info. And you have to spell Barbara right, Barbra.
Well, yeah, because if you can't spell it right, then get out. And
I gave it to somebody the other day, and they were like, Barbara, and I'm like, nope.
No.
And be sure you follow Matt's YouTube channel, because as I said, we're putting these up every week. I'm sure we'll take Christmas week off, but beyond that, we're going straight through, and we're going to have more special guests. And we really thank everyone for being excited, and go out to tuckerdspress.com and order the book. And we will see you next week to continue on through the 70s.